Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back. It's Will here once again for another fight card prediction. We're going to be breaking down UFC Stockholm. Aleksandar Gustafsson against Anthony Smith, obviously from Stockholm, Sweden. And an all-right card after a little break here. Had some people message me in the last week. It's like, why is your predictions not out? And they're like, there are events in 2 weeks, guys. I know there's some guys that have put them out super early, but there has been a couple of changes. I don't like to do them so early that if something happens and it's a big mix-up, then I'm leaving out predictions. So I'm a full week beforehand now. 2 weeks is just a bit too long. So I'm going to get this one out pretty rapid. I'll put my betting advice one out. Maybe I might even do that tonight, actually. And then UFC 238, I'm probably going to get out maybe quite rapid, actually. Maybe I might actually do Monday night. I might actually get that one. I've watched quite a lot on that. Plus, I like to watch a lot of fights anyway. So it's just I don't like to come off one event and go straight to another. It just... I like to make sure that I'm looking into it as much as I can and taking away and learning some things about some fighters as well. So we're going to get into it. Like, comment, subscribe. If you've got some bets for this week, pop them down in the drop-down box. If you disagree with some of my picks, and let me know why you think they're wrong, or maybe there's a spot you see more clearly than what I see. And let's try and get to 3,000 followers. We're well on our way. We're getting there slowly but surely. So we're going to get into this fight card. I don't think the final fight card positioning is really finished yet. So we're going to start off with Oezdemir against Sergey Kondoshko, I think it's pronounced. Kondoshko, I thought Bartosz Fabinski was going to beat him very, very handily in his fight before Bartosz pulled out with an injury here. So this is what I'm looking at Wikipedia now. I'm just kind of going from what I'm seeing there, and hopefully it kind of sticks around that. Rostam's like a really young pro. I know him through the amateurs from the IAAFs. A really strong guy. Fought a few weeks ago, 6-0 record. The only slight in him I have right now is just his experience. It is very, very early to be in his UFC tenure, especially with him being 6-0. And I think Jandesco, I want to say he is 20. He's had like over 30 fights. But when I was watching Sergey, I wasn't super impressed, if I'm being honest with you. I think he's got some overall decent striking, good kickboxing, relies on counters and fights at distance pretty well. But I think that's really it. I don't think he's great in the clinch. I don't think his takedown defense is good. I don't think his wrestling is good, or any of his grappling. Well, in saying that, some of his wrestling's okay, but I think he gets away from it really quickly. He doesn't really commit to anything fully. And I think he can be reversed and he can lose positions very easily as well. Like if I'd seen a little bit more of this Rostam guy, that I've seen a little bit but not too much, and if he had a little bit more experience, I think I would like to pick him here. And I still think he's very got a very good shot of winning this fight, actually. Like, I'm not super impressed with Shondesco at all. I think he's fairly well rounded, but I think he's got some very, very huge weaknesses in that. I really want to pick the newcomer, the new young comer coming through here in Akman, but I don't know. This is a tough one. There's a few fights in this card that are like, ooh, for picking. I'll go with the guy with the more experience. I think it'll be very kind of tentative. I think it'll be very, very close. I can see a decision, kind of victory for either guy here, but I'll go with Sergey for the win here in his UFC debut against another debutant in Rostam Akman. But like I say, it's not a fight I'm not kind of confident in picking a win on that one. Kind of moving on to the next fight, I'm exactly the same. Joel Alvarez against Danilo Belluardo. Belluardo I knew a little bit more about. He fought in Bellator, fought AJ McKee, which is obviously a name in America, and a name they've got big things kind of marked for that kid. Joel Alvarez, not impressed at all with his debut in the UFC, not impressed with his fights outside the UFC. I don't see him being really good in many aspects. I think he's very opportunistic on the ground, but against a lot of low caliber guys. I think Danilo Belluardo, I think he's fought the better guys, but he's still fighting guys with kind of losing records. He's been knocked out a couple of times. I think it's 3 times actually he's been knocked out. So I know Stefano Paterno, who's a guy who was the Cage Warriors welterweight champion. knocked him out, and that was a pretty scary knockout. One thing I like about him, I don't think his striking's great. I think it's definitely going to be better than Alvarez's. I think he's got a really big wrestling advantage here, but then he plays into the hands of Alvarez, taking this fight to the ground and maybe get an opportunistic submission. Like I say, it's a tough fight to pick, honestly. I don't know what the odds are on the fight. Probably close to a pick 'em. Maybe with a slight lean to Alvarez. I'll go with the Italian in this one. I'll go with Leonardo. I think he will get takedowns, and I think he will. I think he will get some takedowns, and I don't think he'll get caught in some of the submissions. If he doesn't, I think he wins the fight pretty easily. I think on the feet, he's a little bit more powerful, a little bit faster. But Alvarez has the UFC experience in saying that. So I'll go with Leonardo to kind of wrestle himself to a decision victory there. Moving on, Darko Stosic against Devin Clark. Not super impressed with Devin Clark. I thought he came out of the blocks really, really quick against Aleksandar Rakic. Dropped him there. It looked like he had him in trouble a little bit, and then his chin kind of gave way and Rakic knocked him out. Like I've said before, I think he's got... I think he's actually a really good athlete, very strong. I think he can put everything together well. I just don't think he can really do that. Got a couple of wins in the UFC, obviously. Very low-level guys. I think the win over Rodriguez is a pretty good win. Josh Stansbury, not super impressive. I think there is more to him, but I just don't think we're going to see it in the UFC. I think we've seen his trajectory. I think he's peaked at where he's going to do. I think he's going to always be a 500 fighter for as long as he sticks around in the UFC. Darko Stosic, I think, has got a lot more higher upside to him. And looking forward to seeing him again after his UFC debut. I thought we might have seen him in there pretty kind of soon after that last fight. And I think an injury played part. He had to kind of pull out. I thought he was maybe supposed to fight in February in the Czech Republic, I want to say. He was supposed to fight there, and we never seen him. But 13-1 record, comes out of that Crow Cop camp. Easier, not that easy to say there, in Croatia. Ran through Jeremy Kimball very, very easily. Vicious ground and pound. I think that Clark has some chin issues. I think that Stosic can definitely get to him with his punches. He's got massive legs. He's actually got massive, thick set legs and can grapple. I think that I would have to give maybe the Clark the pure wrestling advantage, but Stosic is very, very good in that aspect himself. And I like the chin issue. I like the better chin from Darko over for Devin Clark. I just think Devin, like I said, I think we've seen the plight of where Devin Clark's going to be in the UFC, and I think Stosic, once he gets an advantageous position, he will hurt this guy. So I'm going to go Darko Stosic to win via TKO in round number 2 there. B. Maleki against Eduardo Santana. I mean, I don't think any of these girls has any right fighting in the UFC, in my opinion. It was horrible. I watched one fight of each. I know more about B, obviously, because she was on the Tough Show. She's 2-0 as a pro. Santana is 3-0 as a pro. Honestly, I don't particularly care much for this fight. I think I'll go... I don't even know. I think it's one of these fights where you flip a coin and you kind of see where it's going to go. I know that B, she's fighting out of Sweden, the All-Stars camp there, so she's kind of based herself in Sweden. Probably have the more support, whatever support that will be. Again, a pick 'em fight. Looking at the odds there, I see it's a pick 'em fight. And yeah, I will go B. Maleki to win via a decision or something. I'm not invested in this fight one little bit. I don't think it should even be happening in the UFC, in my opinion. Don't really want to spend too much time talking about it, if I'm being honest with you. So yeah, I will go B. Maleki to win that one there. Moving on, Nick Hein against Frank Camacho. I'm taking Frank Camacho in this one, even though I think it could be super close. I think he's going to be the aggressor. I think Nick Hein, we've seen the best of him now. I think when I see him now, he's 35, 36 years old. He's definitely, his speed's waning a little bit. I think he's more susceptible to being hit. I I know he's coming off a couple of losses to some pretty legit guys, in my opinion, in Davi Ramos and Damir Hadzovic. Davi Ramos, once he gets you to the ground, if he's got enough time, he will find a submission on you. In his last fight with Hubbard, he just didn't have enough time in that first round. But and then Hadzovic, I thought he won more clear than a split decision, in my opinion. The fact that it was in Germany, I think they made it a lot cleaner than what it is. He's got a judo background, not really a finisher. He's going to look to try and outpoint someone like Camacho. Camacho's going to definitely be coming on to him here, being the aggressive fighter, far better striker. If he can stop takedowns and stay on the feet with this one, I think he will eventually start to beat on Nick Hein a little bit. But like in saying that, I'm not super confident and do that. Another one of these fights, a coin flip fight for me. I think the first round for me will tell a lot about the fight. Whoever wins that first round, I think, will go on to win the fight. If he can establish his dominance in Camacho on the feet, not kind of play the pitter-patter of striking, which Nick Hein kind of really likes to use, then I definitely think he can come out here and kind of bully his way to a decision win, maybe even a knockout win. Coming off a couple of losses himself, lost to Jeff Neal. That was a vicious head kick. Happy that the guy took like 8-9 months off after that, because that was a hellacious knockout. Close fight. I'm going to go Frank Camacho. I just think that he can maybe push the pace a little bit more in Nick Hein, and he can maybe break Nick Hein a little bit more, but not super confident in kind of either guy there, if I'm being honest with you. Moving on, Stevie Ray against Leonardo Santos. I've been wondering where Leonardo Santos was. It's been a long time since we've seen him, and he's not like he's a young kid anymore. The guy's coming on, I think he's nearing the 40 age, and that's a long time to bout, especially with him being out for coming on nearly 3 years as well, when his last win over Adriano Martins in Manchester. I thought he'd fought after that, because I remember I was at the fight. I thought it was a very close win there, and I thought he'd fought again, but then I went back and it's like, no, he hasn't. So the guy is very good on the ground. We've seen that in the UFC with his submissions over Tony Martin, Rosario. I've seen him in Cage Warriors with a nice arm triangle choke. Striking's okay, nothing to write home about. I think Stevie will have the kind of advantage on the feet. I do think Stevie, I think, has maybe hit his high point of the UFC. Maybe I'm kind of saying that, but like I've seen a lot of people say he lost that fight to Oezdemir. I thought he won that fight personally. I thought he did more. He wanted it more. And his 2 losses, I mean, the Felder one, that's just Felder's a bit of an animal, and once he gets on top, he delivered some vicious elbows. Cage and Johnson, very close fight, which could have easily went his way. The crowd wasn't too enamoured with that down in London with that decision. Stevie's just a well-rounded, good fighter, in my opinion. I think that he will win some fights, he will lose some fights, but this would be a good scalp to get if he could beat someone like Leonardo Santos, because Santos, like I say, people don't really know all that much about him because he's not been fighting all that much, but he comes from a great camp in Brazil. He's a good training partner for a lot of guys out there, and he's got a really solid UFC record. I mean, the only blemish on his UFC record is the draw with Norman Park, which I think Norman Park should actually won that fight as well. But dangerous on the ground. If this fight goes to the ground, I do favour him. On the feet, I slightly favour Stevie Ray. So yeah, close fight. It's a tough one for me to pick. Again, it's one of these fights, who starts quick and who establishes quick. And I think the betting line's a little off. Did I see like Stevie Ray plus 200, plus 195? I think Stevie's got an opportunity, honestly. So I'm going to be a total homeboy here. I know I'm going to cop shit for this, but I don't care. I'll go Stevie Ray to win via very close split decision in that one there. Come on, Stevie, get another win. But I could also see Santos win. So this is kind of a heart overhead kind of scenario here. I'm just taking a shot on Stevie, getting in here and getting it done. Moving on. Oh, sorry, I've lost now. There we go. Tonya Evinger against Lina Lansberg. I mean, yeah, another fight which I really got not all that much interest in, if I'm being honest. I think that it's obviously Lina's from Sweden, so they're trying to get some fights for their hometown people here. Yeah, I think I'm going to go with Tonya Evinger a little bit more. Like I say, this is. I'll be honest with you guys. I never really looked. I think I looked into one fight in this, and it was just Tonya Evinger. I've saw enough of Lina Lansberg face value to know what she's all about. She takes a hell of a lot of damage. I think she can be taken down. I think she can be controlled, but I think she can also deliver damage herself and be dangerous in certain aspects. But Tonya Evinger, she's near in her 40s. She's got that wrestling background. Yeah, I think I'll go with Tonya Evinger, but honestly, not super confident because I don't think she's overly that great, in my opinion. But I think she's got enough here where she can maybe beat someone like Lina Lansberg. So I'll go Tonya Evinger. Maybe actually I'll go by. Did I go by stoppage? No, I'll go by decision. I'll go by definitely by decision now. Right, where are we? I keep losing my train of thought there. There we go. Daniel Teymur against Sungbin Joe. This is the fight that I kind of looked into because a lot more than I thought I was, for the simple fact that I like these Korean fighters they're trying to bring in. I like especially when they have records like 9-0, because we've seen some really decent fight. The guy that fought Peter Yan, I think it was Su's son, I think his name was really impressive to me. Looked into this guy. He's got a varied kind of amount of wins with via submission, TKO. Hasn't fought in over a year though, so that's something. And it was a guy with a fairly decent record, to be fair. He's beat guys with kind of winning records to an extent, so well-rounded. Like I said, Daniel Teymur got his introduction to the UFC far too early, in my opinion. He was a guy I liked a lot outside of the UFC, but I did think he needed a lot more experience, and it's kind of shown that that was the kind of play really on that. He should have had more experience outside the UFC, because he came in, started off great, and he starts every fight great against Danny Henry. Came out there, clearly won that round. Julio Arce started all right, but was conveniently kind of outclassed. Fishgold, he's a guy that you know what he's going to do. He's going to take you to the ground. He's going to look for submissions, and he's going to do it a lot, and he's going to do it he's just going to do it as much as he pretty much can. So, but he will start well here. It's whether he can maintain it, and that's the thing I'm a little bit worried about with Daniel Teymur. It's just whether he can maintain. He can maintain that. I don't think he can, honestly. I like the Korean in this, and I think that, like I say, Daniel Teymur just came into the UFC far too early. Needed a far more experience. I don't understand why he's on the main card here. I know he's from Sweden, but still, I think I would have put someone like Stosic and Devin Clark in there ahead of this type of fight, in my opinion. But my opinion doesn't mean jack, so it is what it is. I'm going to go Sungbin Joe. I actually think he could stop this guy. I think he'll stop him via submission early round number 3. So Bin Joe there for the sub win. Moving on, this is the fight I'm looking forward to. Damir Hadzovic, Christos Giagos. You guys know me. I'm a big fan of Damir Hadzovic. I have been for a long, long time. I like the way he fights. I think he's very aggressive, very in your face. I think he's starting to kind of mix up a little bit. You saw his last fight against Polo Reyes, got a couple of nice takedowns, and that is something. Oh, sorry guys, there's someone nearly got hit by a car right outside out my window there. So yeah, where was I? Damir Hadzovic, like been a fan of this guy for a long time. Will stand in the pocket, will trade, will look to, and that was a dangerous fight because Polo Reyes is a very, very dangerous fighter with very big fighting and power as well. And he stood in there, traded with him a little bit. It was a little bit close in the first round there, but you can see that the quality of Damir Hadzovic, he had a clear quality over Polo Reyes, in my opinion. And I've bet this guy a few times. I think I've actually bet him 3 times. Marcin Held, he was a massive underdog. Clearly losing that fight. I'm not going to sit here and say he was looking good or anything. Caught him with a beautiful knee in that third round, knocked him out, got himself a big bonus. Got just blanketed by Alan Patrick down in Brazil. I thought he beat up Nick Hein pretty comprehensively in Germany, and it went to a split, which was really wrong. He was betting underdog there. and bet him against Paul Reyes, where I think he was an underdog at some points in that fight as well. I think I bet him in that as an underdog. I never looked back at my record on that, but I know I definitely bet him. And he's got a matchup here, I think, in Giagos, who I think he's solid, but I don't think he's going to ever win that many fights in the UFC, if I'm being completely honest with you. When you look at his 2 wins, Oliveira, who he took down to the mat and submitted him, and then he just outlasted Mizuta Hirota, but even that was sketchy. He gassed his ass badly in that fight. The only thing that really kind of kept him going was Hirota kind of had as bad a gas tank as what he did, really, to be honest with you. But he, when the time was right, got takedowns and really used that to his advantage and won the fight. I like Hadzovic in this fight. I've seen people kind of talk up Giagos a little bit, and he's tough. Don't get me wrong. But I just think Damir Hadzovic is actually in the best spot he's ever been in his career. Really like the confidence he's shown. I like his all-round games kind of come together, I think, a little bit. And I think that if he can keep it going, he's a hard guy to fight over 50 minutes because he doesn't really take a back step. He doesn't really dissipate much. He is there times. I think his game is getting better, and I think it's a good spot for him. I will probably end up betting this guy more than likely. People making all these bets weeks in advance makes no sense to me, considering the lines are going to change. So what's these odds now? I've seen him as high as -225, now -185. If I could get him down a little bit lower, I'll bet him straight. If not, I might just parlay him up with someone I like in this card, or maybe UFC 238, because I think there's a couple of good cards for putting people together, in my opinion. So I'm going to go to Damir Hadzovic. I'm going to go by TKO. Early round number 2 in that one there. Moving on, Makwan Amirkhani against Chris Fishgold. This is a good fight. This is a really good. I mean, it's a fight I'm interested in it because I cannot stand Makwan Amirkhani. I've never been a fan. The guy doesn't fight. He's a guy who is a bit of a pompous git. When you see him at fights, he is very, very arrogant. Just a bit of a kind of D-bag, to be honest with you. And I kind of thought he got the rub of the green in that last fight against Jason Knight. I thought, even though Jason Knight did everything to give him that fight, in my opinion, I thought he lost that fight. That was just my opinion. And I know I had money on Jason Knight, and I was super cheering hard for Jason Knight in that one, but I did think that he lost that fight. But then I thought we would have seen him definitely back a lot sooner than this. But he's taken another year out, because I know it was May last year, the Liverpool card, and we've not seen him since. And who knows what he's been up to. I think he's been going between Sweden, SBG, Ireland. And this fight's kind of interesting because we know once he's striking kind of goes out the window and he can't really hurt you, he looks for takedowns. He did that in the Wilkinson fight. He used that he actually fought well with that, to be honest with you. The Arnold Allen fight was a very, very close back and forth fight. He got some takedowns. Arnold Allen got some takedowns. Both kind of reversed each other. He got hurt badly against Jason Knight, was up against it. Looked like he was going to get taken out. I think it was the end of round number 1. Managed to kind of come through his takedowns and his blanket. And like, Jason Knight is so frustrating because he could work his way back to his feet and he decides not to do it and just settles on his back and loses rounds through that. And that's what he did. But he was hurting him off his back with elbows and so on and so on. But and we know what Fishgold's all about as well. He is a guy that looks for takedowns a lot and often. Came out hard fight in his UFC debut against Calvin Guitar. Can't really take much away from there. Started well, got a takedown early, couldn't establish it, gassed, got knocked out. The fight with Teymur came out, did the same, didn't really want to strike, wants to get the fight to the ground. Did that, and eventually he got the submission. I think that's not going to work long time. That's not longevity in the UFC. That's not going to work. He's going to have to mix up with his feet and try and not use all his energy just getting these takedowns and rushing for these takedowns. This is the fight I've been going back and forward on. Initially, I was on Makwan Amirkhani. I've kind of moved to more towards Chris Fishgold because I think this is a fight I can kind of see very similar to Arnold Allen, where I think it's going to be more of a grappling fest. Both guys dangerous with submissions. It's who's kind of gas tank can really settle throughout the fight and maybe be. I don't know. I'm struggling with this one. I just think that I really want Fishgold to win. If you can't tell already, but something about Makwan kind of jumps out to me in this fight. I am going to go. You know what? I'm going to go with Makwan Amirkhani to win this fight, even though. If there's anybody in this entire fight card I want to win, it's Chris Fishgold. I want him to submit this dude, and I want him to do it viciously as well. But I've got a funny feeling this is just going to be a very close fight. I think that Chris is going to gas again, and I think that Makwan over the course of 15 minutes is going to win a close fight. I hate saying that, but I think that's what's going to happen in my opinion. So I'm going to go. That sucks. Makwan Amirkhani to win via a kind of very, very close decision in that one there. This is one I'm super interested in. Jimi Manuwa, Aleksandar Rakic. When the lines were announced for this, and I still think this right now, I still think that the betting line is way off, in my opinion. I think Rakic opened, I can't remember what it was, maybe minus 220 or minus 225 or maybe even minus 250. He's now minus 220. I put a cap on him at minus 150, in my opinion. I don't think it should be as high, especially with the caliber opposition that he's beat. I know that Jimi Manuwa is. I think he's definitely. We're not going to see him kind of around in the UFC all that much in the next 18. His last couple of fights, definitely. But people are really. Like they're writing him off. He's chinny. He's this and that, and I'm like, dude, you know who this guy's losing to? He's like, he took a lot of shots in that Santos fight before eventually going down. Is Thiago Santos not one of the biggest knockout guys the UFC's ever had? Most TKO wins or something else. I remember reading into that about a week ago. So. Anybody is at risk of getting knocked out against Thiago Santos because he hits hard and he just goes for it off the bat. Rakic is a guy like I've bet on in the past. I think that he's got some. He's definitely got some stock behind his name. I think he looks like a fighter who's really starting to put it all together. I like the fact he's went out to American Top Team. I really do like that. 3-0 in the UFC. Barroso, Ledet performance was fantastic. I wasn't overly impressed with the Devin Clark fight, in my opinion. I know he got him out in the first round. I thought he got hurt. I thought he looked a little bit sloppy. I thought his striking didn't look nowhere near as good as what it usually is, if I'm being honest with you. When it comes to a striking battle, you have to be very, very careful with Jimi because Jimmy's got some big power himself. He's got some good technical striking. I definitely think he's slowing, so I give the speed advantage to Aleksandar Rakic. Power-wise, I think Jimmy's just got as much power as Rakic has. I think Rakic has got more diversity with his strikes and can maybe clinch up a little bit and stall the fight more than what Jimi can. But people are writing off Jimi Manuwa, and I don't agree with people saying that this guy's going to be a UFC champion one day. I don't see it. Now, I could be super wrong, and he might show in the next couple of fights that he is, but I think there's better prospects in that division right now. Ahead of Aleksandar Rakic, but it's guys like this I want to come through in this division because he could be the next kind of load of guys, next generation of guys that are going to be good fighters for the UFC and potentially challenging for titles in the future. I just don't see it right now. Maybe that's just me being slow to it because I know there's people out there that are thinking this guy's going to be a champion one day and fight for the belt, which, like I say, I just don't agree with. That's my opinion, but yeah, I'm not going to write off Manuwa here. I think from the caliber of opponents that he's facing, Barroso, Ledet, and Clark, to moving into your top 10 guys like Manuwa, and Manuwa is a top 10 guy, he's going to be nothing more than that because anytime he kind of faces a step up himself, he loses. I think he came into the spot just a little bit too late, in my opinion. And you look at his last 3 fights he lost to Volkan, Blachowicz, and Thiago Santos. All guys that are far ahead of what Aleksandar Rakic is. Knocked out Corey Anderson, knocked out OSP, I think they would give Rakic very, very tough fights right now. I think he would knock out OSP actually, but I think Corey Anderson's would beat Aleksandar Rakic in my opinion. Yeah, the guys that he's lost to are not bad guys, so I'm not writing them off one bit. Really wanted to pick Jimi Manuwa. If I made this video probably 3-4 days ago, I probably would have went with Jimi Manuwa just a dog shot. But I think that Aleksandar Rakic is going to get it done. I just don't think his betting line should be as high, but people are clearly invested in this guy. So yeah, I'm going to go Aleksandar Rakic via. Did I go via knockout? Yeah, I'll go knockout 3rd round. No, I'm not. I'm going to go close decision, actually. Very, very close decision. I think that this will be a lot closer than what the kind of odds say. But I think that Rakic has the more opportunity to finish the fight, as I do think that Manuwa is starting to kind of come down the levels a little bit. And maybe Rakic is maybe just making those jumps that I'm not seeing. So I'll go Aleksandar Rakic in that one there. Co-main event, Volkan Oezdemir against Ilir Latifi. I'm going to go with Volkan Oezdemir on this one. Thought he was a little bit unlucky. I actually had Dominic Reyes in that one, was sweating bullets with that one there. I thought that Reyes just did enough, but I kind of felt afterwards, and when I watched it, I felt a little bit sorry for Volkan because he looked like he definitely maybe should have got the nod in that one, but it's one of those tough, close fights. And yeah, Latifi's a guy that I'm always trying to find opportunities to feed him. Did so successfully against Corey Anderson. I thought that like lots of people were super invested in Latifi and they think he's better than he is, but I don't think he's overly that great, in my opinion. I think that he's solid. He beats who he has to beat. But like I say, I'm not super impressed with him as a fighter. Got outstruck by Corey Anderson. Anderson was attempting takedowns. Latifi was good at stuffing them. If this is going to be a fight that stays on the feet, then Volkan Oezdemir is going to beat up Ilir Latifi just with his striking, because that is Volkan Oezdemir's bread and butter, is his striking. Now, Volkan is susceptible to getting taken down. Anthony Smith did it, eventually got the submission. That's Kwame. But yeah, he has been taken down the last couple of fights, and that's a good way to maybe deplete his gas tank and clinch up with him maybe. Someone like Latifi, I think he's going to want to do that. Strike, engage in the striking to maybe clinch and try and tire him up through there, maybe work for takedowns through there. But like I say, I think this is another close fight. It's a really tough fight to choose. I prefer picking Volkan Oezdemir. I think he's going to pick him apart. I think that he's been unlucky. He could have easily won that Anthony Smith fight. He was landing some bombs on him. There was a lot of strikes between those two. I'm going to go with Volkan Oezdemir. I actually think he's going to knock out Latifi, so I'm going to go an early first round knockout for Volkan Oezdemir. I think he catches the chin on Latifi and silences the Stockholm crowd. So I'm going to go Volkan for the dub there. And the main event of the night, Alexander Gustafsson against Anthony Smith. I think this is going to be his swan song. I don't see him sticking around. I don't see the point of him sticking around at 205. I don't think he's really made for heavyweight. I think there might be some fun fights if he was to win this one, maybe like a Luke Rockhold fight. But I think that Luke Rockhold's going to get pushed very, very quickly onto John Jones. You maybe start to build some of the young guys like a Johnny Walker, maybe even a Rakic over with this kind of guy. If Rakic was to win his fight, Alexander Gustafsson, he looked slow. He looked a bit lethargic in that fight with John Jones. I don't think John Jones looked that good in that fight, and pretty convincingly once he got the mount. But when he fights at home, he generally does very well. The last time he fought there against Glover Teixeira, he looked fantastic. He was pinging the head of Teixeira very, very easily. And yeah, this is as big a fight as maybe Alexander Gustafsson has in the rest of his career, because it's at home and it will mean a hell of a lot to him. So yeah, like I say, good, polished, well-rounded fighter, but I do think he maybe mentally is at that point where then he could be. You might see him kind of take a couple more losses to guys you would never thought that would happen to kind of a couple of years ago. So the sport's maybe trying to pass him by. Anthony Smith, this fight was weird because this got put together super quick after John Jones beat him pretty comprehensively at UFC 235 in March. I think it was like the 16th of March, a full 2 weeks after that they made this fight, and he went on the Ariel Helwani show, and he did not want the fight at all. He wanted time off, and then I've seen something there before I come on here. It's like he can't wait to get this fight out the road so he can get some time off. So it looks like he's being pushed into this fight by management, maybe in UFC, I don't know. But the guy, since he came into the 205 division, was on a run. Obviously, Rashad Evans, Shogun, Volkan Oezdemir, all stoppages. Got Jones just outclassed. John Jones didn't fight well either, in my opinion. He stuck around in that one for the full 5 rounds. That's an experience that normally guys can take when they fight John Jones. So, yeah, on the feet, he could definitely hurt someone like Gustafsson. I think he has to do it early, though. I think if this was to go past the third, I think Gustafsson would maybe start to outpoint him, just have more output than him. And yeah, that's kind of how I'm seeing this going. If you're picking Anthony Smith, I think he has to do it very, very quick in the first couple of rounds. If not, I think Gustafsson will start to really beat him up and start to kind of hurt him with the accumulation of his strikes. But I do think he is kind of live in the fight. But I am going to pick Aleksandar Gustafsson. I just think he's a bit more polished. I think he's a savvy vet. I think he's going to have the right game plan to really just fight Anthony Smith to kind of his strengths a little bit. So yeah, like I said, I wouldn't. If you want to take a shot on Anthony Smith, I wouldn't be averse to that personally. But I just don't think I could do it. I'll go Aleksandar Gustafsson for a late, maybe TKO finish in round number 4 or 5 in that one there. So, yeah, that's my picks for UFC Stockholm. Like I say, I think I'm going to get the UFC 238 ones out relatively early because I've did quite a lot. I could have got these predictions out a little bit earlier. I definitely could, but just time and work and everything, I couldn't really get it out. I kind of got a little bit lazy, if I'm being honest with you. I went to spend some time with my daughter and do other things while we had a little bit of a break because it's a massive run before the end of the year. So hopefully you don't hold that against me for not getting out a little bit early, but I just wanted to do a little bit more with my family, and like it's not a necessity to get it out 2 weeks or 10, 15 days before, 10, 12 days before fights, in my opinion. So yeah, until I think I'm going to get them out early. Keep an eye on it. I'm going to have my betting advice show up as well because all the odds are out for this one for UFC 238. So I'm going to get them out pretty quick. Until then, guys, I appreciate I see all you in the chat there. Like I say, betting advice, if you want to kick around for that, it'll be tomorrow. It just depends on. I've got the MMA Huddle podcast to do tonight. So until then, guys, enjoy Stockholm next week, and I will see you all for UFC 230, which is a great card, by the way, very, very soon.